A recent and startling revelation by the FBI along the U.S.-Mexico border has captured the public's attention, igniting a firestorm of concern and debate across the nation. This discovery threatens to upend our existing understanding of the intricacies involved in border control and the multifaceted nature of illegal immigration. The FBI's findings offer a glimpse into the sophisticated operations that facilitate the illegal crossing of migrants into the United States, operations that are now known to involve the direct participation of armed members of Mexican cartels. This chilling development underscores the evolving and increasingly perilous nature of border crossings, painting a picture of desperation, exploitation, and the dark underbelly of human migration. In this video, we aim to dissect the layers of this terrifying discovery, tracing the threads that connect the dots between recent waves of illegal immigration and the sinister involvement of cartel operatives, captured in startling clarity by Fox News reporters. In a segment that has since gone viral, the footage reveals the audacity of dozens of migrants as they embark on the perilous journey across the border, shepherded by the ominous presence of cartel-affiliated SUVs. Situated in Jacumba, a region that straddles the California-Mexico border, this incident not only highlights the geographical focal points of these illicit crossings, but also signals a shift in the modus operandi of those orchestrating them. Join us as we explore the details of this terrifying discovery that is set to alter the course of border security and law enforcement strategies. From the motivations behind the surge in migration to the dire implications of cartel involvement, we aim to provide a comprehensive overview of a situation that continues to evolve. Illegal immigration on U.S.-Mexico border. The U.S.-Mexico border, a sprawling expanse of diverse landscapes stretching over 1954 miles, has long been a focal point of intense political debate, humanitarian concerns, and security challenges. In recent months, the border has witnessed a significant uptick in illegal immigration waves, a phenomenon that has not only strained the resources of border enforcement agencies, but also sparked widespread discourse on national security and immigration policy. The recent surge in illegal immigration is unprecedented in its scale and complexity. Factors contributing to this increase include economic disparity, political instability, and rampant violence in Central and South American countries, driving migrants to undertake perilous journeys in search of safety and prosperity. The lure of economic opportunities in the United States, coupled with the tightening of legal avenues for immigration, has compelled many to risk illegal crossings, often with fatal outcomes. Complicating the situation further is the involvement of Mexican cartels in the smuggling of migrants. These criminal organizations have capitalized on the desperation of migrants, offering perilous passage across the border for exorbitant fees. The cartels' methods are ruthless, involving coercion, violence, and exploitation, transforming the act of migration into a lucrative business model that undermines both the sovereignty of border nations and the safety of migrants. The surge in illegal crossings has placed an immense burden on border enforcement agencies, particularly the U.S. Border Patrol. Officers are stretched thin, grappling with the dual responsibilities of enforcing immigration laws and ensuring the humanitarian treatment of migrants. The increase in migrant encounters has led to overcrowding in detention facilities, logistical nightmares in processing asylum claims, and a significant strain on resources dedicated to border security. The challenges at the border have significant geopolitical implications, affecting bilateral relations between the United States and Mexico, as well as broader discussions on international cooperation in managing migration flows. The involvement of armed Mexican cartel members in escorting immigrants illegally over the border has escalated tensions, highlighting the need for a coordinated response to address the root causes of migration and dismantle the criminal networks that exploit it. The problem needs solving urgently, but this comes at a heavy price for the U.S. as President Lopez has his demands. The discovery, a shocking revelation on the U.S.-Mexico border. In a revelation that has sent shockwaves across the United States and beyond, the FBI has unveiled alarming evidence of a sophisticated and perilous operation at the U.S.-Mexico border. This discovery, documented in vivid detail by Fox News reporters, has pulled back the curtain on a harrowing scene that starkly illustrates the complexities and dangers of the current immigration crisis. The operation came to light in a dramatic sequence captured in Jacumba, a region along the California-Mexico border known for its rugged terrain, and as a hotspot for illegal crossings. The footage begins with the arrival of two large SUVs strategically positioned near the border. These vehicles, later identified as part of a cartel-operated smuggling operation, quickly disgorged a significant number of migrants. These individuals, in a bold and coordinated effort, proceeded to cross into the U.S. on foot, bypassing legal entry points and evading the mechanisms put in place to manage and secure the border. Jacumba, situated in the eastern part of San Diego County, falls within the jurisdiction of the U.S. Border Patrol's San Diego sector. This sector has witnessed a surge in illegal border crossings, a trend exacerbated by shifting enforcement focus to other areas, particularly Texas, due to its own intensifying border control efforts. As migrants traversed towards the imposing border wall, the footage captured their determined journey. Upon reaching the wall's terminus, they swiftly navigated around it, entering the United States with a sense of urgency that became more pronounced upon realizing they were being filmed. Perhaps the most disturbing aspect of this discovery is the involvement of armed members of Mexican cartels, acting as escorts for the migrants. This facet of the operation points to a deeply entrenched network of criminal organizations that have extended their reach into human smuggling. These cartels, exploiting the desperation of migrants, have established a dangerous and lucrative business model that not only endangers the lives of those they smuggle, but also poses a significant threat to national security. The audacity of this operation underscores the monumental challenges faced by law enforcement agencies in securing the border. The incident in Jacumba, where migrants openly crossed into the U.S. with cartel vehicles in tow, reveals a brazen disregard for U.S. immigration laws and the efforts of Border Patrol agents. Notably, during this incident, there was only one Border Patrol agent in the vicinity, highlighting the disproportionate challenge agents face in monitoring and securing vast stretches of the border. The diversity of the group of migrants involved in this crossing is also noteworthy. According to the Fox News employee who filmed the incident, the group included individuals from China, Turkey, Brazil, and India, illustrating the global dimension of the migration crisis. This diversity underscores the universal appeal of the United States as a destination for those seeking refuge, opportunity, or a new beginning, but it also highlights the complex and varied motivations behind migration. This shocking discovery by the FBI has significant implications for border security and immigration policy. It serves as a reminder of the sophisticated operations employed by criminal organizations to exploit border vulnerabilities and the urgent need for a comprehensive and multifaceted approach to border security. The involvement of armed cartel members in escorting migrants illegally over the border necessitates not only a law enforcement response, but also a broader strategy that addresses the root causes of migration and dismantles the networks that profit from human suffering. Cartel involvement, the sinister nexus of crime and migration. The recent FBI discovery along the U.S.-Mexico border has shone a spotlight on a deeply troubling aspect of the migration crisis: the direct involvement of armed Mexican cartel members in orchestrating and facilitating illegal crossings. This revelation has peeled back the layers on the complex and dangerous interplay between criminal organizations and migration, revealing a sinister nexus that poses significant challenges to border security, undermines the rule of law, and exploits vulnerable populations. Mexican cartels, long infamous for their roles in drug trafficking and violent crime, have diversified their criminal enterprises to include human smuggling. Viewing the desperation of migrants as a lucrative business opportunity, these cartels have established sophisticated networks to transport individuals across the border, often at great risk to the migrants themselves. The recent incident in Jacumba is a stark manifestation of this reality, with armed cartel members visibly coordinating the crossing of dozens of migrants, showcasing the brazen confidence these criminal organizations have in their operations. The involvement of armed cartel members in escorting migrants adds a perilous dimension to an already dangerous journey. These armed escorts are not protectors. They are enforcers of the cartel's will, ensuring that their human cargo reaches its destination while evading law enforcement detection. The presence of weapons escalates the potential for violence, not only against the migrants should they diverge from the cartel's plan, but also posing a grave threat to Border Patrol agents and law enforcement officers who might encounter them during their duties. Beyond facilitating crossings, cartel involvement in human smuggling often entails severe exploitation and abuse of migrants. Individuals are subjected to extortionate fees for their passage, with no guarantee of safety or success. Migrants are frequently misled about the dangers of the journey or their prospects upon reaching the United States. In some cases, those unable to pay are forced into labor or prostitution as a means of repaying their debt to the cartel, a grim echo of human trafficking practices that further compound the humanitarian crisis at the border. The cartel's sophisticated operations challenge current border security measures and immigration policies. Traditional approaches to border enforcement are ill-equipped to deal with the level of organization and firepower that cartels bring to human smuggling. This necessitates a reevaluation of border security strategies to ensure they are responsive to the evolving tactics of these criminal networks. Moreover, the cartel's involvement underscores the need for a comprehensive approach to immigration that addresses the root causes driving people to undertake such perilous journeys. The cartel's bold incursions into human smuggling represent a direct challenge to the sovereignty of the United States and Mexico. By effectively controlling portions of the border and dictating the terms of crossings, these criminal organizations undermine the authority of both nations, compromising public safety and national security. Their ability to operate with impunity within and across borders is a testament to their power and the inadequacies of current efforts to curb their influence. Addressing the cartel's involvement in human smuggling requires robust cooperation between the United States and Mexico. This partnership must extend beyond law enforcement to include intelligence sharing, joint operations, and community engagement to dismantle smuggling networks. Furthermore, efforts must be made to address the socio-economic conditions in Mexico and Central America that fuel both the drug trade and migration, thereby striking at the root of the cartel's power. Challenges for border enforcement: navigating a complex crisis. The revelation of organized, cartel-involved illegal crossings along the U.S.-Mexico border, as highlighted by the recent FBI discovery, has underscored the monumental challenges faced by border enforcement agencies. These entities, chiefly the U.S. Border Patrol, find themselves at the vanguard of America's efforts to control its borders. Yet, they are increasingly beleaguered by a convergence of sophisticated criminal tactics, humanitarian concerns, and the sheer volume of individuals seeking entry. This multifaceted crisis demands a nuanced understanding of the obstacles to effective border enforcement. One of the primary challenges is the level of sophistication in the smuggling operations conducted by the cartels. These criminal organizations have evolved far beyond rudimentary methods of smuggling, employing advanced technology, reconnaissance, and armed escorts to facilitate migrant crossings. This evolution in tactics has turned the act of border enforcement into a high-stakes game of cat and mouse, with cartels constantly adapting to counter-enforcement measures. The incident in Jacumba, where migrants were methodically unloaded from SUVs and guided across the border, exemplifies the organized nature of these operations, challenging border agents to adapt rapidly to these evolving strategies. Border enforcement agencies are also hamstrung by resource and manpower limitations. Despite significant investments in border security, the vastness of the U.S.-Mexico border, coupled with the rugged and remote terrain it encompasses, makes comprehensive surveillance and enforcement a Herculean task. The fact that, during significant illegal crossing events, often only a handful of agents are available to respond, highlights the disproportionate challenge they face in monitoring and securing the border effectively. Complicating the mission of border enforcement agencies are the humanitarian obligations that come with handling migrants, many of whom are vulnerable individuals fleeing violence, poverty, or persecution. The surge in crossings has led to overcrowding in detention facilities and a backlog in asylum processing, placing additional strains on resources. Agencies must balance the imperative of securing the border with the ethical and legal requirements to treat migrants humanely, a task that has become increasingly complex amid rising numbers and public scrutiny. Border enforcement efforts are further complicated by the legal and policy landscape governing immigration and asylum in the United States. Changes in policy direction from one administration to another, court rulings affecting enforcement protocols, and legislative gridlock on immigration reform have created an environment of uncertainty. This has, at times, hampered the ability of agencies to implement long-term strategies for border security and migrant processing. While technology has bolstered border enforcement capabilities through surveillance drones, sensors, and biometric tracking, it also presents its own set of challenges. The rapid pace of technological advancement means agencies must continually adapt and upgrade their capabilities to stay ahead of smugglers who are using the same technology to evade detection. Moreover, effective border enforcement requires requires seamless information sharing not only among U.S. agencies but also with international partners, particularly Mexico. Enhancing these collaborations remains a challenge in the face of diplomatic and operational hurdles. Migrant perspectives, understanding the human side of border crossings. The complex tapestry of illegal immigration at the U.S.-Mexico border, highlighted by recent startling revelations of cartel involvement, is not solely a narrative of law enforcement and criminal enterprises. Central to this unfolding story are the migrants themselves, individuals driven by a mosaic of motivations and circumstances to undertake perilous journeys in hopes of crossing into the United States. Understanding the migrant perspective is crucial for a holistic view of the challenges at the border, shedding light on the human experiences behind the statistics and policy debates. Migrants come from a broad spectrum of backgrounds, each with unique stories of hardship and aspiration. Recent trends have shown not just Central Americans, but also individuals from as far afield as Africa, Asia, and Eastern Europe, driven by global economic disparities, political unrest, environmental disasters, and persecution. Their motivations are a complex blend of seeking safety from violence, escaping economic destitution, reuniting with family in the U.S., or the pursuit of better opportunities. The recent discovery of migrants from countries like China, Turkey, Brazil, and India attempting illegal crossings underlines the global dimension of this crisis. The decision to leave one's homeland is seldom made lightly. It is often the culmination of a painful calculus involving the risks of the journey against the unbearable conditions at home. Migrants speak of violence so pervasive that living in their communities becomes a daily gamble with death. Others describe economic conditions so dire that providing basic necessities for their families is impossible. For some, the decision is spurred by the aspiration for a better life for their children, free from the cycles of poverty and violence that have ensnared generations. The path to the U.S.-Mexico border is fraught with dangers, traversing some of the most inhospitable terrains on the continent. Migrants often recount harrowing tales of their journeys, traversing vast deserts under the scorching sun, crossing swift rivers, and evading both natural predators and human ones, including kidnappers and traffickers. For those relying on smugglers, the experience is often one of exploitation and betrayal, with many reporting abuse, extortion, and abandonment en route. The increasing involvement of cartels in human smuggling adds another layer of danger to the migration journey. Migrants are often coerced into paying exorbitant fees for the promise of safe passage, only to find themselves at the mercy of armed groups with little regard for their well-being. Stories of migrants being forced into labor, subjected to violence, or used as pawns in the cartel's broader criminal activities are not uncommon. This sinister aspect of the journey underscores the vulnerability of migrants to exploitation and abuse. Despite the myriad dangers, the aspiration for a better life remains a powerful motivator. Migrants speak of their hopes with a poignant mix of optimism and realism, aware of the challenges that lie ahead even if they successfully cross into the United States. Many are driven by the dream of providing their children with education and opportunities they themselves never had. However, these aspirations are tempered by fears of detention, deportation, and the uncertainty of life in a foreign land where they must navigate new cultures, languages, and legal systems. U.S. response and policy implications, navigating the complex terrain of immigration reform. The recent revelations concerning the involvement of armed Mexican cartel members in escorting migrants across the U.S.-Mexico border have cast a light on the complexities of immigration and border security policies. The United States response to these developments is multifaceted, involving immediate border security measures, diplomatic engagements, and broader policy implications that could reshape the nation's approach to immigration and asylum seeking in the coming years. In response to the increased cartel activity and the surge in illegal border crossings, the U.S. has ramped up its border security efforts. This includes the deployment of additional Border Patrol agents to high-traffic areas, the utilization of advanced surveillance technology to monitor crossings, and increased coordination with Mexican authorities to combat smuggling operations. However, these measures face significant challenges, including the vastness of the border, the sophisticated tactics employed by cartels, and the humanitarian need to treat migrants with dignity and respect. The U.S. response also extends beyond its borders, involving diplomatic efforts to address the root causes of migration and to dismantle the criminal networks facilitating it. This includes cooperation with Mexico and Central American countries to enhance security, combat human trafficking, and improve economic conditions in regions that are major sources of migration. These efforts aim to create a more stable and prosperous environment that diminishes the push factors driving individuals to undertake dangerous journeys north. The discovery of cartel involvement in migrant smuggling has profound implications for UC immigration policy. It underscores the urgent need for comprehensive immigration reform that balances border security with the protection of migrant rights and addresses the legal avenues for immigration and asylum. Current policies, including the MPP and Title 42 expulsions, have been subjects of controversy, highlighting the delicate balance between managing border security and upholding international humanitarian obligations. The situation at the border has reignited debates over the United States asylum policies. Critics argue that current policies, which often result in prolonged detention and uncertain legal processes, fail to provide adequate protection for genuine asylum seekers. There is a growing call for policies that expedite the asylum process while ensuring thorough vetting, offering a fair chance for those fleeing persecution and violence to find refuge in the United States. The challenges highlighted by the recent border crisis are likely to influence future immigration legislation. Lawmakers are faced with the task of crafting policies that effectively secure the border, combat human trafficking, and provide a humane and efficient immigration system. This includes potential pathways to citizenship for undocumented immigrants already in the U.S., reforms to the visa system to meet economic and humanitarian needs, and increased support for countries grappling with the conditions that drive migration. Public perception of the immigration issue and the political will to address it are critical factors in shaping U.S. policy responses. The visibility of the crisis, partly due to media coverage of incidents like the one in Jacumba, has heightened public awareness and concern. However, political polarization around immigration issues complicates the path to bipartisan solutions. Building consensus on comprehensive immigration reform requires navigating a complex landscape of competing interests, ideologies, and humanitarian considerations. International and humanitarian concerns, bridging borders with compassion and cooperation. The recent FBI discovery highlighting the involvement of armed Mexican cartels in facilitating illegal border crossings has not only intensified the debate surrounding U.S. immigration policy, but also cast a spotlight on the broader international and humanitarian concerns at play. This complex issue transcends national boundaries, demanding a concerted and compassionate response that acknowledges the shared responsibilities of the global community in addressing the root causes of migration and ensuring the safety and dignity of all individuals involved. Migration is inherently an international phenomenon, with push and pull factors that span economic disparities, political instability, environmental crises, and human rights abuses. The diversity of nationalities among migrants attempting to cross the U.S.-Mexico border underscores the global scope of the issue. It is a vivid reminder that solutions must be sought in international cooperation and solidarity, rather than unilateral actions that fail to address the underlying causes of migration. The humanitarian implications of the crisis at the U.S.-Mexico border are profound. Migrants, often fleeing dire conditions in their home countries, find themselves ensnared in a perilous journey fraught with exploitation, abuse, and the constant threat of violence at the hands of criminal organizations. The involvement of armed cartel members in smuggling operations exacerbates these dangers, placing migrants at even greater risk. This situation raises urgent questions about the responsibility of the international community to protect the most vulnerable and to offer safe, legal pathways for migration and asylum. International law, including the 1951 Refugee Convention and its 1967 Protocol, sets forth the legal obligations of states to protect refugees and asylum seekers. The principles of non-refoulement, which prohibit the return of individuals to countries where they face serious threats to their life or freedom, are foundational to the international protection regime. However, the enforcement of these principles is uneven, and too often, policies aimed at deterring migration overlook the legal and moral obligations to protect human rights. Strengthening adherence to international law and human rights standards is crucial in ensuring that border security measures do not come at the expense of human dignity and safety. Addressing the international and humanitarian concerns associated with migration requires comprehensive policy solutions that go beyond border enforcement. This includes investing in development and stabilization efforts in countries that are major sources of migration to address the economic, social, and political factors driving people to leave their homes. International collaboration is essential in dismantling the criminal networks that profit from human smuggling and trafficking, ensuring that those responsible are held accountable. Effective management of migration flows and the protection of migrants' rights necessitate robust bilateral and multilateral cooperation. The U.S. and Mexico, along with other countries in the region, must work together to develop strategies that balance the need for border security with the imperative of humanitarian protection. This includes sharing intelligence, coordinating law enforcement efforts, and providing mutual aid to enhance the capacity of countries to offer asylum and resettlement options. Civil society organizations and NGOs play a critical role in addressing the humanitarian aspects of migration. These organizations often provide essential services to migrants, including legal assistance, healthcare, and shelter. Supporting and partnering with these organizations can enhance the effectiveness of government responses to migration challenges, ensuring that policies are informed by on-the-ground realities and the needs of affected populations. As we conclude our exploration of the complex and multifaceted issues surrounding the U.S.-Mexico border, the involvement of armed Mexican cartels in migrant smuggling, and the broader international and humanitarian concerns, we recognize that this conversation does not end here. The revelations and discussions presented serve as a catalyst for further dialogue, understanding, and action. We now turn to you, our viewers, to take an active role in this ongoing discourse. We invite you to share your thoughts, insights, and perspectives in the comments section below. To stay abreast of developments regarding U.S. border security, immigration policy, and the myriad factors influencing migration, we encourage you to subscribe to our channel.